Greetings all, my name is JD from Studio 2105. Welcome back to Direct Access MixStream and a brand new episode of Weekly Update Wednesdays. For episode 101, we're going to try something a little bit different and maybe a little bit fun as well. Stay tuned. As usual, if you are new to this channel, a warm welcome to you. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons who help to support the channel financially. If you're not yet a subscriber, please do click on the subscribe button down there. And don't forget to click on the notification bell as well so that you'll be updated every time I put out a brand new video. Do sign up for the email list, and if you want to become a patron, head on down to www.patreon.com/studio2105. I thought we'd do something a little different and also fun at the same time. And this is the FP Backline / Common Sense Quiz number 1. Who's FP Backline here? Okay, now this is actually a good friend of mine and a really well regarded person in the whole live music and the industry. He's Mr. Peter Frankfurt. He's super awesome, very cool guy, right? A musician by trade, but he's now Malaysia's biggest backline rental supplier as well. He posted this on Facebook actually way back almost a year ago, 11th April 2021, as we can see here. To be honest, I actually went through this quiz already and I sort of did it, but it's been about a year or so, right? I don't really remember all the answers to it, right? I'm pretty sure I might have forgotten some of it. This was a little thing that he posted up because, you know, trying to hire people, especially maybe now when things are picking up again, right? When the industry is starting to reopen come April 1st. This might be a fun thing to do and to put people through the test. Peter himself says, ask your crew to answer without Googling lah, okay, right? It's a Malaysian affectation at the lah, okay? Now, if you can answer all correctly, I want to hire him, her, okay? Hey, so maybe this is something that you can do, and then you show Peter, okay? Hey, I answered all these questions correctly, okay? Please hire me. Anyway, I'm just kidding. This is for fun, okay? So, now I do not remember all the answers, so I'm going to try my best to do this quiz once again. Anyway, okay, let's kick it off. Question number 1, A. What is the normal power supply voltage for, because that's where most of the touring acts come from, Malaysia? Malaysia is 230, 240 volts. USA would be 110 to 120. Japan also the same. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Japan is very specific. Japan is like more like 115 hertz. Hertz, but 115 volts. Even I get my units wrong. It's 115. The reason why I remember, because I know I had to custom wound and custom make a transformer, right, for some of the gear that we were using when Pop Charade used to tour in Japan. Korea, to be honest, I have no idea Korea, right, but I suspect that Korea, Japan and USA are kind of the same, also about 110, 120 volts. Because Korea obviously has a very strong American presence, especially, you know, in the 50s and during the 50s and even to this day, okay, right, because of the Korean War. Australia, being a Commonwealth country, 230, 240 volts, and UK, of course, right, 240 volts. Question B. What is TS and TRS? Alright, okay, this is an easy one, okay? TS stands for tip and sleeve, right? And this usually refers to 1/4" and 8" phone jacks. So TS stands for tip sleeve, usually an unbalanced connection. And then you have TRS is tip, ring and sleeve, okay? TRS here is usually either for balanced signals or stereo, okay? I actually did a video on this. Check it out, right? If you want to sort of refresh your memory, right, on what's the difference between the TS and TRS cables and where and when should you use the different types of cables. Okay, let's move on. Number C, what is the difference between an active and a passive DI? That's super easy as well. Okay, active DI will require a source of power. It requires a power supply. Very often this can either be, right, the 48 volt phantom power, right, that is being supplied from the mixer or a source, or it can also run on batteries as well. Now, in passive DI here, passive DI means that it does not require a source of power, right? It will run and it will operate just fine. Just like what I have over here. Let me just show you. Okay, this is here, my radial JDI. This is a passive DI. Why must you never use a normal signal cable as a speaker cable? See this a lot, okay? We're referring to normal signal cable here, we're referring to the regular 1/4 inch instrument cable, right? So be it for a guitar or a keyboard or something like that. Now, first of all, right, the normal signal cables are shielded, right? And they are not designed to take, right, these are usually unbalanced, shielded, and they are definitely not designed to take the amount of current and amount of voltage that is produced, right, from the power amp section to power and to push into a speaker cabinet, right? For that, you need a dedicated speaker cable, which is usually an unshielded one. Drums. Okay, what is the batter and what's the resonant head? Okay, batter head is very easy. That's where it's the head which is usually the struck, and the resonant head would be the head at the opposite end. Okay, that's the name implies. It's the head that resonates after the batter head is struck. Keys. What are the other names for sustain pedal? Okay, not exactly sure. Sustain pedal, is there under name? Unless you like Italian name, sostenuto, or you're referring to, let's say, expression pedals and volume pedals. Sustain pedal, right? Well, I don't know, man. Okay, maybe there's another very specific name. Keyboardists out there, right? I'll check out the answer later and then I'll know. Okay. Keys. What's the difference between the expression and volume pedal? Wow. Okay. Definitely an expression and volume pedal. They are kind of essentially the same, except that, of course, you know, the expression pedal, specifically in terms of the MIDI messages that it sends, right? It is more towards expressions like velocity. You can tweak such as pitch bend, what other, you know, aftertouch and various other things, right? So expression pedals are used for that, right? They can be assigned to different various parameters as well. But the volume pedal is specifically, right, for the volume, so of that particular sound on the MIDI patch that's being used. Let's go on. Please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Because you know, I may not necessarily know all the answers to this. Okay, leave it down in the comments below if you know the right answer. Keys. What is damper polarity? Okay, this is pretty simple. Okay, so depending on the manufacturer, right? Sometimes the damper. Oh, there you go. I've got the answer for F now. Okay. Another name for sustain pedal, damper pedal. Is that right? Okay. Okay. So, what is damper polarity? Let's back to question H. So, damper polarity, like off the top of my head, like depending on different manufacturers and how the sustain pedal, the damper pedal is wired, okay, may employ different polarities. Now, another reason is that usually the polarity of a damper pedal or sustain pedal, the switch, is when you press it down, right, it activates the sustain parameter, okay, and then when you depress it, you lift your foot off the pedal, right, it will turn off sustain now, okay. So if you're holding a sustain note, right, it will turn it off. Damper polarity is a switch that's very commonly found. You can find it right on the all the sustain and the damper pedals. What it does is that it reverses this action. So instead of, right, pressing down for sustain, when it is not pressed, when it is depressed, that actually engages sustain. And to disable the sustain, you have to step on the pedal. You have to press the pedal down, okay? So that's what it stands for. Let's go. Question I, drums. What does DW stand for? Okay, drum workshop, okay? Well, What does MIDI stand for? Okay, Musical Instrument Digital Interface. In fact, actually, I did a whole module from the Direct Access Music Production Workshop playlist, the series of lectures that I did. Go and check it out, okay? Midi Connector. How many pins? The Midi Connector, right, is actually called the DIN, right? How many pins? It is a 5-pin DIN. Now, in case you didn't know, DIN connectors, right, it's just a type of connector. Sometimes you have 7-pin, you have 9-pin, and sometimes even more than that. Now, how many pins are actually used? Okay, right. Actually, to be honest, I don't know. I suspect 3. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember exactly. Okay, so how many pins are actually used? I'll find out what the answer is. Okay, if you know the answer, leave it down in the comments. What is gain? Okay, gain would be the level. Okay, it's a level adjustment, usually before, right, the preamp stage. This is an opposed to the output level, where sometimes it's a misnomer called the volume knob. Okay, so gain is usually before the preamp stage. Okay, what is pan? Pan is short for panorama. Okay, right, panorama referring to your stereo image, your left, right, center. In fact, nowadays, if you talk about surround, if you talk about Dolby Atmos and immersive audio, panning, okay, also involves more than just your left, center, right already. It involves everything. Okay, so that's what pan is. Let's go next question. What are transistor amps? Transistor amps. Okay, so transistor amps, as the name implies, all right, are solid state amps. They use transistors and they use integrated circuits, all right, ICs. They use chips, and especially when you talk about guitar amplifiers, bass amplifiers, right, it does not use the vacuum tube or valve as a means of amplification. So instead, it uses transistors. It uses the op amps, right? Basically, meaning it's a solid state circuitry. Okay, let's go on. M. What's the use of the -10 dB or 20 dB switch on that DI amp? Okay, very simple. This is the attenuation, the pad, right? If the signals that's coming into the DI or into the input of the amplifier, it's too hot, it's overloading, it's clipping the inputs, right? Engaging the pad switches will usually bring down the level, okay, right, bring down the input level to a manageable level. Okay, number N. Okay, what does USB stand for? USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. Okay, oh, how many keys does a normal acoustic piano have? 88 keys. Okay, right. Now, how many black, how many white? I don't know. I can't name that off the top of my head. Drums. What are the usual sizes of splash cymbals? Splash cymbals are usually can range anywhere from between 8 to 10, maybe 12. 12 would probably be a little bit big, but 8 to 10 inches. Okay, crash cymbals. Crash cymbals, very typically, they're between 16 to 19. The most common that I've seen is between 16 to 19 inches. But I think sometimes also you do, it's very rare, but I've seen before 14 inches before. But usually I guess 16, 17, 18, 19 would be the common sizes. Now, ride cymbals. Okay, ride cymbals will be, bigger than crashes. These are going to range from anywhere from 19 onwards, 19 inches onwards, okay? Q, what's the most common size for a kick drum? Okay, kick drum, I mean, there's wide variety. I would say maybe the most common would probably be the 22-inch diameter kick drum, okay? But there's obviously smaller than that, and there's also bigger than that as well. Right, snare drum, most common would be 14 inches. That's by far the most common size for a snare drum. Alright, okay, drums. Difference between the Ramo Ambassador and Emperor skins. Okay, the difference between these two, the Ambassador and Emperors, would be the ply, if I'm not mistaken. So the Emperor, if I'm not wrong, okay, is only one ply. It's a single ply, and Ambassador would be 2 ply. Again, right? Could be wrong. I could have to go and double check. Okay, right. Well, if I can't get all the answers right, then it means that I'm not qualified lah. Cannot be hired by Peter for Peter's company, man. Right, let's go. Stan, what is double braced? Okay, double braced, right, usually refers to the legs, right? So instead of a single, how to explain it? So instead of like a single leg, right? A double brace, right, would have two. Usually, it's what's the word? Two beams, two bars, or something like that, right, on that leg. Very common, right? For example, for cymbal stands as well. Cymbal stands, usually you have single brace, you have double brace. Double brace, usually it's a lot stronger, means that you can support heavier weights lah, okay, and it's also a little bit more stable. Next one, what does LP stand for? LP stands for Latin percussion, okay, right? Very common, right, for all the percussion instruments. What are the standby and power on switches on your tube amps? Okay, it's very important because you'll be surprised some people do not know what these are, and right, improper use, alright, of the standby and power switches can damage your guitar amp, especially tube amplifiers. So power on, right, power and on switches, this is the master power. You turn this on to provide power to the rest of the rest of the amp. Okay, standby puts it into standby mode where you still have power. What it does do is that it does mute the output, so that the amp is still on, but it won't produce any sound lah. And how do you switch the amps on and off? Okay, very simple. Okay, you always switch the power on switches first, and make sure that your amp, the standby switch, is firstly engaged. Only when you want to use the amplifier do you disengage the standby, put it out of standby mode, alright, then you can start using the tube amp. And vice versa, this will be the reverse process when you want to switch off an amp. Okay, let's go. Second last one, we're almost there. What do people mean when they say 440 Hertz? 440 Hertz here refers, right, to the standard, right, that's been agreed upon, right, for tuning. So in this case, A3 equals to 440 Hertz, 440 cycles per second, right? So what is what we mean by 440 Hertz? This is the tuning standard that is used for pretty much most of modern contemporary Western music, right? 440 Hertz. And last but not least, what is a Gracie stand? Okay, this one, I'm stumped here. I have no idea what a Gracie stand is. Okay, so let me just go and Google this. Gracie stand. What's a Gracie stand? Okay, all right. Okay, Gracie stand. Okay, there we go. So that's what a Gracie stand is. Let's go into images. This is a Gracie stand. Okay, the one that's usually used for, you know, that you can mount and you fix a guitar on. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Okay, I thought it was just called a acoustic or a guitar performance stand. So there is a specific name for it. Well, we learn new things every day. Right, so there we go. This is a little fun thing. It's something that I think you guys can also go and try out and test your backline and your audio live sound common sense knowledge. Okay, leave your answers in the comments below. I would love to see what your responses are. Then maybe we can compare the answers later on. Okay, so that's it. Something a little bit fun, something a little bit different. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it useful and informative, perhaps a little bit entertaining. If you did, please do leave a like. Please do share this with your friends as well. And if you haven't done so, please do become a subscriber down below, okay? Don't forget, right, to sign up for the email list. And also, if you want to become a patron, head on down to the Patreon page to find out how you can support the channel and the creation of content. See you again in another video real soon. Stay safe, stay happy and healthy. Happy recording and mixing. Peace, love, and music.